We have the privilege of welcoming some of our Unreasonable Fellows back to programs after they've been inducted into the fellowship in previous initiatives. So RANIA is an incredible entrepreneur and leader from our Unreasonable Future program from earlier this year. It's a privilege to have you back with us.
Thank you so much.
Amazing business, but I realized that I didn't know much about your upbringing at all, and I'm curious, where were you born? Where did you grow up? What was that like for you?
Yeah, it seems like that's been the theme of the conversation we've been having. I grew up during the Civil War in Lebanon, so my childhood was full of displacement and tragedies and losses and death and a lot of anxiety and pressures that were a lot for children to go through. And then during my teenage years, I grew up in a very unstable home. My parents were having a lot of conflict in the house, so I never really felt stability. But that gave me an outlet to go explore more myself and who I am, and gave me the freedom to go find my own peace somewhere else. And that was, I think, my way of taking all the negative experiences that I was going through and trying to turn them into something positive where I could empower myself and discover who I am and find my own way, which I'm very grateful for my parents for allowing us to do that. We grew up in a very democratic house, despite everything else that was going on. We had a lot of freedom to choose. We had freedom to be ourselves. So I was lucky enough to have that space to create my own life from a very early age, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think having those early experiences contributed tremendously to where I ended up now and where I'm headed forward to.
Yeah. You have such a peaceful and grounded demeanor about you. I'm curious, how did you channel or harness some of that tragedy that was swirling around you towards something positive? And
I think we all have different genetic makeups, but we also have different energetic makeups. We're all made up differently. So genetics are irrelevant when it comes to who you are, really. For me, it was always my response to life from when I was a kid. When something wrong is going on, my response is, how can I fix this? How can I make it better? How can I turn this into something else? Where's the good in all this that's happening? Because there's always something positive about something extremely negative. Because nothing exists without its opposite. So you just have to perceive things this way. If I'm in a negative situation, there is a positive somewhere. I just have to look in that direction. And that's always been my attitude towards life, towards challenges, towards struggles and traumas and everything. So
clearly very resilient. How has that shown up in some of your entrepreneurial pursuits?
Well, I came to the States with nothing, really. I came alone. I was 18. When my parents were getting divorced, they couldn't afford to send me to college. So that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to leave, because if I was to stay, I wasn't going to have good education. But gratefully, my family had citizenships to the U.S. because we have family in the U.S. from a long time. So I had the opportunity, and that was the chance I took to change my life. Of course, I had a very idealistic perception that things are going to be great, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to do well. Well, I had only $1,000 in my pocket. I didn't know where I'm going. I didn't have any solid plans. I had no vision of the future. I just had this strong belief that I'm capable of creating something of myself. I'm capable of creating something out of nothing because we have that energetic piece of DNA in all of us. We just have to activate it and make sure that we don't lose our connection to that if we want to move forward in life. And as long as you don't fall for the conveniences of the mediocre, you'll be able to do so much while you're alive. It doesn't matter if you're here for 5 years, 10 years, 20, 100. As long as you have this mentality that I'm not going to settle for who I am now, I'm not going to settle for how much I can do now, then you will keep evolving to be more. Not do more, but be more. And once you are more, you can create more, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So.
And when did you know that you were going to be leading a business or being an entrepreneur?
Actually, first year of college, working for other people was not the thing for me. I wasn't a bad employee, but I was the type of person who would go in, I'm like, this is what we're gonna do, bye. And then someone else would take over. So I was more the strategic vision creator, the path creator, and I would just disengage. So I knew for me it was more about going for the calling of my entrepreneurial spirit and just believing that this is where I need to be. But also my circumstances, because I literally had nothing. Talking about surprises, that should have came up yesterday. But I still can't believe really how far I was able to come, given the humble and the impossible conditions that I came from, where you could easily just give up and think small and settle. But I was able to go to college. I was able to work so many jobs to finish 3 degrees. I didn't settle for not having support. I created my own stream of income. I made sure I get the education that I thought I deserved and I wanted and I had the desire to achieve. And when I was a student, I created my first company. I was still in second year in college. I built the second one when I started my master's program, and I had sold the first one by the time I went into graduate school. In graduate school, doing my first degree, by the time I finished, I sold the second company. And then I kicked off ID4A by the time I was actually still finishing my third degree, which was a second master's. And during that time, I was the person who doesn't sleep, who's always working, who shows up. And a lot of the people that I went to college with, they didn't know I'm an entrepreneur until I told them about it by the time I became a successful entrepreneur, because I thought it's a personal endeavor. It's not something I want to share. And I'm someone who believes that when you're in a creation phase of something, you need to protect it. Not because you want to own it or you're afraid that someone else will take it, but because you should protect it from yourself to not lose the energy to make it happen. And the more you share about it when it's an incubation stage and when it's not ready, the more you give away energy that could go into that creation. That was my mindset. This is for me. I'm building this. And once it's done, you're going to see it. It's not going to be invisible. So when something is fully created, it becomes visible. It's like when you have a baby in the womb. You don't check what the baby looks like. It's just taking its shape. It's growing. You trust that it's developing in the right way, of course. But you're not checking in all the time to see what it looks like. When it's out, everyone will see the baby. Everyone will know that the creation is complete. Oh, I see. That's what you've been doing for 9 months. You know?
It's a beautiful metaphor. So I want to make sure that you get a chance to share a little bit about ID4A, because it's clearly visible now. You have hundreds of employees. You're operating all over the world. Like, give us just a taste of the incredible work that you do.
Time?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So ID4A Technologies is a global technology company. We are specialized in the design and development of customized automation solutions to accelerate manufacturing processes. So our aim is to leverage the capabilities of AI, machine learning, machine vision, robotics, and other exponential technologies to increase accuracy, productivity, scalability, and flexibility across the entire manufacturing cycle. As we also support our clients to automate their processes, we help them to reinvest in the upskilling and training of their workforce as they move into new jobs. We have helped our clients to save on average about $53.2 million over a 3-year run. And we increased their return on investment by a minimum of 230%. Aside from the sustainability and economics factors, we are also invested in the eradication of the exploitation of labor and global production pipelines. And over the past 5 years, in partnerships with our clients and local and international organizations, we've been able to impact more than 1.5 million lives so far around the world. And we're aiming to expand.
My final question, coming back as a returning Unreasonable Fellow, but now as a mentor,
yes.
What would you love to share with the group of fellows that are in this room now?
Well, the best part about joining Future, that of course it happened by some underlying mathematics that we don't understand as humans, but I ended up at Future, and the most interesting thing about that is that when I learned about Future, I'm like, this is so right on. This is exactly what we're aiming to do. This is what we're already doing, and this is perfect. And then I get to the program, and they've done this amazing job at organizing these 2 weeks. Wonderful mentors just like yourselves, wonderful entrepreneurs just like yourselves as well. And there was a question floating somewhere that we're not really sure what we're doing with Future. And I remember thinking, I thought you do know because I know what you're doing. And I know it's possible and I know it's happening. And there's so much clarity in the message and what the aim is. It's just that the belief is not solid enough. And maybe that's just the beginning of things. It's always shaky. We always doubt things. We're not sure. But we created it. It didn't just happen. It's not an accident. There was an intention behind this thing to come together and to have people come and rally around it. So I just loved being part of that experience with how detailed and how organized it was and how much uncertainty was kind of underlying all that organization. And I had so much respect for that because there's that level of vulnerability that we were able to share. We created this, but we're still uncertain where we're going to go with that. And I thought that was a beautiful thing because that gives everyone a chance to participate in how this thing is going to fulfill its own purpose. So congratulations on taking all these initiatives. Wonderful team, wonderful mindset and vision and focus. And as much as you might think you're not sure, you do know what you're doing. That's my take on this, and I'm probably not what you expected.
RANIA, thank you so much for showing up so fully, both as a fellow, as a mentor, and being such an integral part of this community. We're grateful to have you.
Yeah.
Unreasonable Impact is a multi-year partnership between Unreasonable Group and Barclays. We've scoured North America for a portfolio of the best positioned high-growth entrepreneurs that we could possibly find. They are on the bleeding edge of trends in sustainability. We believe they're positioned to create at least 500 jobs in the next 5 years. Our sole job here is wrap them with the right resources, connections, relationships that they need to rapidly scale and realize their full potential.
In the next 50 years, there'll be more trash in the oceans than there is fish. We take trash from the very poorest neighborhoods in the world and we turn it into fabric. And that fabric's being sold to brands that are turning into boots, bags, jackets, everything like that. Thread is hoping to facilitate over 10,000 jobs in the next 5 years.
At the current rate of agricultural production, we're not going to be able to feed everyone. Beauty Foods is a company that makes sustainable, delicious food products using cricket flour. Cricket is an extremely eco-friendly source of protein. If we can create a growing and thriving edible insect industry, we have the potential to create hundreds of thousands of jobs and feed billions of people.
Right now, there is no commercially viable way to generate fusion energy and get it on the grid. That's what we are trying to do. If we can figure out the scientific challenges, then we have the ability to create clean, abundant, and safe energy effectively forever.
Entrepreneurs pick which mentors, which specialists they want to dive specifically into their needs as an organization, and they're going to guide you through that because they've been there before.
If I don't believe the logic, the number's irrelevant. Focus on the logic, not the numbers.
The most impactful things for me have really been deep dives with the mentors, being able to talk to them about really important strategic issues and how to take the company to the next level.
We can be quite helpful challenging business strategies, being sounding boards, and providing ideas.
I've learned, I'm sure, as much from them as they've learned from me. And that's been something I don't think I really appreciated until I got here.
The feedback is really on point. We wanted to act on it within an hour.
They're really all inspiring. It's incredible to me that they have the courage to forge ahead and lead these companies.
They're starting in a market with a product, but their opportunity to take it in ways we haven't even dreamed of is so cool.
Business can uniquely be innovative. And I think the largest problems on the planet in the next 50 years are going to be solved by companies like ours.
These entrepreneurs are magicians, and what they're showing us is a glimpse of what the future will hold. And if this community can really support each other into the long term, these people will bend history in the right direction.